We're going to cover a few things. I haven't put a video up in a while. I've been doing some marathon live streams. That last live stream had like 43,000 views. It was pretty fun, actually. I'm going to cover how some of those charts played out. I'm also going to cover potential targets for a bottom and some confluence I found with multiple charts, and as well go over what I think might be a really good short trade. Again, this is not financial advice, but I think it would be a perfect opportunity. It's up to you to take the risk on that. And we'll also cover people say that if price drops below a certain point that it wouldn't be profitable for miners. I want to cover some of that as well. By the way, guys, I'm going to reference one of the Binance charts, the ByBit Kraken capitulation chart, peak of the bull run, this longs chart, and capitulation cycle chart. By the way, guys, if you don't have access to my charts, that information will be in the description. These charts play out live. You don't need a TradingView account. If you do have a TradingView account, though, you can copy and save these charts as your own and do with them as you please. So let's get into this. So this is the Kraken chart. So, and this one was kind of fun during the stream. So at this point, price started pushing up, and I was telling people, I said, do not FOMO in. Usually what happens, wait, watch it go up, and if it starts retracing back down, this is an indicator that price is going to drop down further, and it did exactly that. It came up, then immediately stopped and started retracing back down, and then you can see what happened. We came down, we found resistance under this ring, and started pushing down further. But the great part of this stream was I was telling people, and you know, we watched this happen. So we came down, we crossed this ring, and as we approached this orange ring, price started pushing up. So I told everybody, I said, just stay in. It'll ride up the ring. Once it crosses this ring, it would come down, and that's exactly what happened. And then it went back up, and it kind of went sideways. You can see it as it approached this ring, it went up, and as soon as it crossed, it came down a little bit and started moving back up. But what you'll notice is, let me find this ring, make it brighter, make sure you guys can see it. So this ring right here, and this is what I look for when you have certain rings that intersect each other, and you see a certain pattern, something that happens. Chances are the same thing will play out. So you saw it moved up this ring and it crossed. So I told people over here, I said, as soon as we get to this ring, price will move up this ring, and this ring right here would become resistance. So you can see it pushed up, we got a lot of volume trying to get up above this ring, but every time it went above it, it went right down below it. So I told people, I said, as soon as we cross this ring, this would be the point to sell, or if you're in a long, that's the point to get out of it, and then you could short once you cross. Now, depending on how far we come down, that's always a guess, but you can see how it played out on both of these. You've got this ring going up, you've got this ring going up, it went up, it crossed, it went down, it went up, it crossed, it came down. And you can see now we're starting to come down a little bit. We'll have to see how far we come down. There is a lot of support here at this pink ring. You can see we went right down to it, and that was around 7,076. So I think we're probably headed down to that now. The next chart, this is the Binance chart with a tether pair, USDT. You can see how this chart is played out. This is a fib channel chart with rings on it. I know it might look a little complicated, but you can see these rings here. This is the same fib circle. You can see that these orange rings are the same fib circle, and you can see what happens. We get stuck in this channel. It hits the bottom, moves back up, comes down, didn't make it all the way, came back down, and it came all the way down here to this blue ring and came all the way back up, got stuck in this channel, moved up, went through. But you see it's bouncing between these orange rings. Came down, you got to bounce, came back below it. So from this point, your next target was this ring. You touched it, came back up, went way above, didn't quite make it to this one, came back down. Came up here, got stopped out. So if you get topped out at this ring, where's your next target? The ring below. And I was telling people, if there was a lot of resistance with this this red ring here at 7,243. We didn't make it up that high, so there was two possibilities. We either find support and start moving back up and we test this ring again, or if we break this ring, which we have, there's much lower to go. And you can see we've already broken this ring, So we're going to move down, and potentially you can see what happens. When we drop down, we find support on the white ring. We move up it. This time we came down below it, found resistance, and then started moving sideways. So chances are we'll probably come down and find support on this ring. We might drop below it and come back up. But on this chart, on the Binance chart, it looks like if we start moving down and sideways, you'll find support around 6,900. And then of course we had support. Now I'm not really sure if this is the ring we found support on, or this one, but I would look at targets around 6,742, and you've got a target over here around 6,467. Not saying that's how low it has to go. These are just targets I have on this chart. I suggest you re-reference all the charts on my website for potential bottoms. The next chart, this is the ByBit chart. And you can see that price has been respecting this fib circle really well. It comes down, you found support on this ring, came back up, got topped out at this ring, found support and resistance, came down to this one, found support, came down to this one, to the tick, came back up, resistance, we broke above it, your next target was up here, and your next target was here, and then it hit this one, came back up, found resistance here, moved back up, found support. You can see we crossed this blue ring here, and now we're coming down, and it seems like it's come down a pretty good bit. And that's what I'm saying. You go back and look at previous rings, you can see we were moving up this blue ring, we crossed it, we came down, then we started moving back up. As soon as we crossed this ring, we started coming down, we moved up a bit, and now we crossed this ring, we're coming down more. So these rings do play out. Again guys, I tell you, pay attention to the charts, go back, look at previous price action. With the fib channels, for instance, this one here, always go back and look at what previous lines were very strong support. You can see that we had a lot of resistance. Let me draw a trend line here. You can see we had a lot of support and resistance right here. A lot of resistance, support, came down, found support. So a likely first target, if we continue down, is going to be around 7,000, well, in the 7,000 area, right here, my cursor's at 7,033. If we continue down, you will get a bounce here. We might be able to watch this play out live, well, at recording this video, but this ring right here, previously that we had a bounce off of, that is exactly 7,074. So you know, after this video, go back and look and see if we got a bounce at 7,074, and then potentially come back down and test this, which I think will be strong support, which probably will give us another bounce. And you can see prices have been respecting this fib channel going way back. Every single one of these lines, and I have multiple versions. I have it with the fib channel alone, then I have it with just the rings, and then I have it you know, combined. This is combined obviously, but yeah, just always go back and look. But these charts, when I set them up, you know, price respects every one of these fib channels, and it does respect the rings also. So let's go to we've went over this. So I'd like to cover this right here. This is the chart I put out a while ago where I was telling people that you know, these are all the same fib circles, guys. I went over this before. This is the same fib circle. This is the same fib circle. And this is the same fib circle. And what I was telling you is, you can see that when I set this up, this orange ring right here was resistance. Perfect resistance at the peak. Resistance here, and we hit it again, and then we had our drop 50%. And then we pushed up, and this is the next ring in. We found support and resistance on it. We crossed this yellow ring just like we crossed it here. We pushed up, we got rejected by this orange ring, and then we started moving down. Now, while there's multiple rings in this this blue fib circle, you know, I was highlighting this one to say we could have a drop after, and you can see that when we crossed, it was like 11 days after we crossed this ring before we came down. Now this is playing out, it's similar, but it's kind of different. You can see that we crossed this ring, then got rejected. Here we got rejected, and now we're about to cross the ring. So it's possible, you know, that this ring could be the one that's in play. We're already crossing this, starting to come down. So, you know, it could be this ring, could be this ring. I just think that the way this is playing out, it just makes sense. Eventually, you know, we're just now crossing this ring. This is on the daily, and we are what, just 1 or 2 candles past this ring. So I would give it time to see what happens. You know, it's possible we could come out a little further, clear this ring as resistance, because you can see it was resistance. Now to become support. So it's possible we could come down. There are multiple targets here. The first target on this chart I have, you can see this is previously a strong support. So, you know, we could come down and find support at 4,713. I know that's pretty low, but guys, this is what I'm seeing in these charts. The lowest point I see us going, according to this chart, is this ring that was previously very strong resistance right here will now become support. So if we continue down, your support is right here at 3,300. If we move up, and guys, keep in mind, you know, this is a manipulated market. It's in the best interest of wells and exchanges to trick people. So, you know, it's always possible we could push up, get people more bullish, and then price comes down. Or we could just keep coming down. If we do push up, you're going to find a lot of resistance on this red ring right here. You see this is a lot of support, and right here was resistance where we got rejected. So if we push up, look for a lot of resistance at 7,940. Again, this goes up at an angle. Right here would be, this is 8,000. If you push above that, you're going to get resistance at 8,667. Again, if we came up and pushed above this orange ring and found support on 8,600, I would get a little more bullish. It would potentially go higher. But as you can see, after crossing this blue ring, we are starting to come down. And I do think from this chart alone that we'll be coming down much lower. So let's go to the next one here. So this is a chart that I published on my TradingView account. By the way, my TradingView name is Snookerer, Snookerer, if you want to look up some of my published charts. When I created this chart, I thought that we would get stopped out at this orange, this purple ring or this white ring. And you can see that I didn't expect it to go as high as it did. But when I charted this, and this is the actual chart right here, you know, when I created this chart, I used the same method I do for all of my charts. I know this looks insane, but trust me, there's a method for every one of these fib circles, including this fib circle right here, this red one. Now, I didn't know which one. I took a guess and thought it would be this white one or the purple one, but you can see what happens if I play this. If I hit play, we got topped out right at this ring, and this is 41,295. You see we hit it, we came back up, got rejected, hit it again, got rejected, we're hitting it again, getting rejected again. So it's possible we could push higher. The next ring I have above is right here. It seems like this is the first time that we've actually, you know, it's pretty much been parabolic. We hit this purple ring, we found support on it, moved up, found support, and then we started just going parabolic and then went straight up. So this is the point where it's finally stopped and started moving sideways. So it's possible the longs on Bitfinex could be topped out right here. And if that's the case, guys, just look at how insane this is. Now I know this is Bitfinex. Other exchanges, longs. I mean, I think other exchanges shorts are stacked higher than longs. So this is just Bitfinex. I would like to let everyone know that, and I'm sure you guys know this, but Bitfinex and Tether are the New York Attorney General's office is going after them. They had an office in New York, which I guess because of that gives the Attorney General in New York jurisdiction to go after them, and there's class action lawsuits against Tether and Bitfinex, and this just looks very fishy to me. You do what you want. I would not be in Tether. There's no way. There's other coins, stable coins like USDC. Guys, if I were you and in Tether, I would get out and get in another stable coin, because I think something's about to happen major. And, you know, who knows what can happen. Like I said, I just would not feel safe in Tether. I'd like to show you, this is Bitfinex. I just want to kind of give you an idea for people that are, you know, I was telling people when longs are stacked, price is typically going to drop. When shorts are stacked, price is going to go up. You can see right here, this is longs, and this is price down here. You can see the red is where longs peaked and then price came down. So right here you can see longs were pretty high They kind of went sideways. And then you can see longs fell off the board, price crashed. When it bottomed, that's the green lines. So price bottomed, longs started stacking. So people were successful on these longs here. But look what happened when longs got to a certain point. They got up here, and then you had a crash straight down. Came back up, crashed again. You see longs went up, and then price came down. Longs started coming down. We bottomed, or longs bottomed, price bottomed, longs started going back up. When longs got high up here, they kind of went sideways, but price did come down when longs got pretty high. And then right here you can see people started longing. The price was going up, went sideways for a while, and then longs were pretty much level, and then price crashed. Now over here, as I said, when price bottoms, and then people expect that people start longing because they expect price to go back up. So I think a lot of people, or at least on Bitfinex, I do think that might be manipulated. There's a lot of shady stuff going on, but you can see this is where longs bottomed, and then they started going parabolic. Price is still going sideways. So I think a lot of people think that we bottomed, and they expect price to start moving back up. I think these longs are going to get liquidated soon, which means price is going to tank. Just like you can see, every time longs are high, they come down. But longs are so stacked that there's going to be one crazy drop, which means price is going to have a very significant drop to go along with these longs dropping. This is BlockchainWhispers.com. You can see Bitfinex longs. It's 296 million. Shorts are only 41 million. BitMEX, there's more shorts than there are longs. There's 100 million more shorts versus longs. On Binance, there's twice as many shorts as there are longs. But when you look at the total, you got 617 million longs and 450 million shorts. But you're getting this average because it's so longs are so extreme on Bitfinex compared to these other two. So I don't know how much weight you could put in Bitfinex. I just think that it's possible that Bitfinex knows that they're in a lot of trouble, and they might be ready just to cut and run, which means if you're in Tether, bad things can happen. If you're on Bitfinex, hey, the people that own Bitfinex, they might just take their profit and just head to a tropical beach and just leave everybody high and dry. So again, guys, I'm just telling you, if you're in Tether, you might want to reconsider being in Tether. This next chart, I think a lot of people have a misconception about what formation we're in. I see a lot of people drawing this pattern here. Guess they think that this is the structure we're in, and this would be the bottom. So people think that we're, I guess, in the middle. So if we come down, they think we would potentially hit 6,300, or if we continue up, we would get rejected around 8,400. And if that's the case, then that would mean for our previous peak in our bear market, you would draw something, I guess, to match up with that, you would have to draw something like this. And usually you want the lines to be parallel, and I guess that kind of works, but I don't think this is the structure we're in. I think the structure we're actually in is more like this, and I'll show you this using a fib channel. So if I go from the peak and I go down to the bottom and I come up here to the top, I want you to see the similarities in this. You can see that with this line right here, we found resistance, came down, we found more resistance, we finally pushed up over this gray line, found support, we got rejected right here at this 0.236, then we came down, we bottomed, found perfect support, and then we started moving sideways and up. And this right here is very similar to this. You can see we found resistance on this line. We pushed above it. We did come back down below. We found support and resistance. We pushed above it. We came down. We found resistance. Now we are actually above this gray line. And now we're finding support on it and moving up, coming down, finding support. So I think the actual pattern we're in And if you reference my peak of the bull run chart, I think this is the pattern we're in. You can see, if you go back and watch that video I made, peak of the bull run, you can see how I created this chart. But you can see that we had resistance, then we had support, came sideways, found support, and you can see that when I created this fib channel, this is where we found resistance, then we started finding support, and then we got topped out right at this line right here. So if I create, I'm going to create another fib channel. I know there's already enough fib channels right now, but if I create one from right here, and again, when I tell you guys, when you set these up, you need to make sure that you have at least 2 lines that match. So I'm going to pull these lines out until I find some lines that match. And you can see right here, the 0.5, I'm going to get to match this 0.618, and this 9588, I'm going to get match this yellow line. So gray line, yellow line, green line, this blue line. So if I do that, you can see they match. And I guess I could get more accurate with this, but I do want to show you, this is what I'm trying to tell you. So I think what it is this is very similar. This price action here is very similar to this price action here. So look at the pattern here. You've got your resistance there. This was the channel we were in, and this would have been the center channel right here. So we were caught in this channel, then finally broke through it, found support, now we're moving in this channel. So I think the actual structure we're in, and I could probably find another fib channel that would show you potentially this, but I just want to show you the similarities. I think the channel that we're in is actually this right here. Let me get rid of this right here. So I think what we're in is this channel. So I think it's possible if we push down, you're going to find temporary support. You can see this fib circle here. We rode up this fib circle. As soon as we found support on it, as soon as we broke through, we came down. So I think it's possible, and there's also a line here for support right here where this red ring converges. That's around 6,669. But I think the bottom of this channel, if we fell straight through right now, the bottom would be around 5,800, and if we continue to move sideways, down here is around 5,372. But I would like to point out, and this goes with other charts I have, if we drop down to this white ring right here where my cursor is at, this is 3,500. Down here is around, this is around 3,300. This is the next halving. I do believe we will bottom before the start of the halving. So we could potentially come down, bottom down here somewhere, and then start moving back up, and then, then we start our slow move to start our next bull run. I'd like to go to this chart. This is the chart I think that you guys should use. Again, on my website, this is the chart of BTC capitulation cycle chart. Let me go to this. So, and this is what I was talking about, the perfect short. And again, guys, you have to be careful because, again, this is a manipulated market. But I've told you guys that how this works is we go from line to line. We capitulated from this center line. We came down. We found support, found resistance, found support on this line, support and resistance. Moved up to this line, support and resistance. Moved to this line as resistance and support. This was the next line. We got topped out. This is my capitulation ring right here. You see we found support. We crossed it. We came down. We found more support. We capitulated from the same line right here. And I told you in plenty of videos, countless times, that when we capitulate here, if we break support from this line, your next target is this line. And you can see that's exactly what happened. Now, we did come down. We went sideways. Somehow, some reason, we got pushed up. And look where we topped out, right here at this line. Got rejected, and we've had a slow bleed down. And let me go to the 3 hours so you can see more detail here. So you can see that when we came down, actually, let me go to the 2 hour. Let's just really dissect this. So we got topped out, right? We didn't make it all the way down. We came back up, and we had the slow bleed down. And look at this. When we came down below, we're finding support and resistance. We came up, we found resistance. We moved back above it, support and resistance. A lot of support and resistance on this line. Now we're below this line. So it only makes sense to me that the next line we come down to, and let me go to the 4 hour here. The next line that we're going to come down to is going to be this line right here, because this was previously a lot of strong support and resistance before we had that push up back in, what, April 1st? So if you wanted to do a short, and again, this is not financial advice, guys. You do what you want. I'm just telling you this is a possible short trade. So currently price on the Bitstamp chart is 7,087. We're finding a lot of resistance right here. So I think chances are going back above this pretty slim. So potentially if you set your stop loss around 7,500, I think that would be a safe point to put it, and short it all the way down to potentially, well, this is 5,951. If you kind of come over to the side where this ring and this line converge or intersect, that's right at 6,000. So just to be safe, you could go a little bit above, maybe 6,050. But I'm just saying, if you look back, this is how price has been. This is how price reacts to this pitchfork. You go down from this line to this line to this line. Didn't make it to that one. Came down to this line. Eventually, we came down to this line, to this line, to this line, back up to this line, back up to this line, back up to this line, came back down to this line. Eventually we came down to this line. It took a while. So it just makes sense. The next line we're going to hit is going to be this line. So if you wanted to do a leveraged short position, we're already below this line right here for resistance. We're headed down. So I would have a safe stop loss 7,500 above this line. Maybe you want to be a little more safe, put it above this last wick. But I do believe that we're coming down. Even if we have a push up, we'll get rejected again, and then we're coming down and hit this line, just like here. We came down. We had one hell of a push up, but we eventually came back down to this line. This is the next line, guys. And again, where my cursor's at is around 5,900. If it's more out here, this is 6,076. So you decide for yourself. Again, let me reiterate, not financial advice, just telling you I believe that we're coming down to this next line here. And I would like to point out, guys, and I tell you this, whenever a ring plays a role, this ring played a role. This is my capitulation ring. We crossed this ring, we came down, we found support, we broke support, we've been coming down ever since. And as a matter of fact, since we crossed that capitulation ring right here, we came down a total of 47%. And I just want to point out, every time that you hit a ring that's part of the same Fib circle, you can expect something major to happen. And you can see even this red ring here, I have some turned off. Let me turn some of these inner rings on so you can see the price is respecting them. I mean, as soon as it hit, you can see we found perfect support on this bottom ring. We capitulated right here at this red ring, came down, found support, dropped through, found support here. We were right in this fib ring channel right here, moved above it, found support perfectly on it. As soon as we crossed this ring, we pushed up. Then we pushed up this ring, got rejected, found perfect support on this ring, came up, found resistance, moved up here, found perfect support and resistance on it. So I know for a fact this red ring here is going to play a role, and this yellow ring is going to play a role as well. And we are at current price, and keep in mind, if we drop down lower, we get further from this red ring, but we actually get closer to this yellow ring. But at current price, if we move sideways to hit this red ring, that would be 16 days. And if we drop down here where these two rings converge, that would be roughly 19 days. So I do expect something major to happen when we hit this red ring and this yellow ring. What happens, I don't know. I can tell you that going by previous price action, when we crossed this yellow ring, we came down. So that means that we potentially hit this red ring, push up a bit, hit this yellow ring, come down, because it does seem every time that we cross the red ring, we do push up. You can see every time we cross it, we did push up a bit. Then we started finding support on it, but we eventually moved back up. So this could be a mapping out what's going to happen. We could start moving down. We could get pushed up by this red ring, find resistance right here. This would be around 7,500. That's what I'm saying, potentially have your stop loss a little higher. But this red ring could temporarily push us up. And then when we hit this yellow ring, it could push us down. Again, this is just by this chart, but ultimately, I do believe these rings will play a role. This could actually be a pivot to send us down, and then we hit this yellow ring that just really sends us down. But again, guys, I do believe we'll be coming down to test this line. And again, right where I have my cursors at is 5,900. And the further out you are, it goes a little higher because these are at an upward angle. But I do think one of these lines will be our support. And I'm telling you that I think a good buy, well, my buy-in is going to be around 4,200. So if we continue sideways, this right here, if we hit this ring, this line right here would be 4,200. Don't be greedy. If you're happy with 5,000, put a little bit in there. But I do think we have a little ways to come down, and one of these lines will be our support. Before we actually start our accumulation phase to start the bull run. I did want to cover one more thing. A lot of people say that if price drops down to a certain point, that the miners, it won't be profitable if you're below a certain, they say was, I don't even know what the profitable is. Like they said 8,000 or 7,000 was break even. Guys, this is what Coin does. Is the computing power dedicated to mining Bitcoin has hit another new high, suggesting that more than 600, and this, I don't know what date this was put out. This was October 9th, 2019. The computing power dedicated to mining Bitcoin has hit yet another new high, suggesting that more than 600,000 powerful new machines may have come online in the last 3 months. So there's a lot of money to be made mining Bitcoin. And I just want to show you that I guarantee you that, okay, first of all, we know electricity is a lot cheaper in China and some other countries than in the US, and other countries electricity is a lot more expensive. But in these countries where electricity basically doesn't cost that much, and specifically China, Bitmain's releasing. I mean, look at the first one that came out. The hash rate was 336, and then look how fast these miners have got. I mean, the newest, most expensive, greatest one they have on this website, 18 million mega hashes per second. I mean that's insane. So what I'm trying to tell you guys is, first of all, electricity is cheaper in some countries. On top of that, I guarantee you that when they released this EBIT E9 Plus, I guarantee you they were using this to actually mine Bitcoin, way before they released the, because they released, they actually use their most current, most efficient mining hardware or miners, and then when they have a more efficient one like this one down here, they're going to sell these older ones to people to use. But they're going to keep using the most powerful one because they're making money. It's free money for them. They keep mining and they keep making profit from it. Then they come out with one that's more powerful. Then they release these to the public. And they're probably using one right now that probably does 30 million mega hashes per second. So my point is price can drop a lot and still be profitable for some. Especially those that have, Bitmain that's using their most powerful that they haven't released yet. We have no idea how powerful their newest miners are. So yes, in the US, it might not be profitable, and some mining farms are going to have to shut down because if it's not profitable, they can't pay the bills. They have to shut down. So I think the mining wars have begun. So, and Moore's law, I think this was probably written into Satoshi Nakamoto's Bitcoin, and he took that into consideration. And Moore's law is right here. Moore's law refers to Moore's perception that the number of transistors on a microchip doubles every 2 years, that the cost of computers is cut in half. Moore's law states that we can expect the speed and capability of our computers to increase every couple years, and we will pay less for them. Another tenet of Moore's law asserts that the growth is exponential, and this is true. It's getting faster and faster. the hardware is getting faster and faster, and it's getting cheaper and cheaper. Although Bitmain is making one hell of a profit on their miners they release. So my point is, guys, is when people say price can't drop below a certain point because it won't be profitable, then all the mining farms are going to shut down, and there's just going to be no hash power, and then Bitcoin's going to collapse. No, I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's still profitable for some, and they want to have a monopoly on the hash power. So I think that's what's happening, and I think these mining wars are going to bring the price down lower, because I think a select few want to be the ones that are in control of the mining. But eventually, price will start moving back up, and then others will turn their mining equipment on. But I just want to make you aware of that. And again, guys, the biggest takeaway from this is that I do expect that there's going to be another major drop. When it's going to happen, yet to be seen. I do think that this ring is going to play a role, regardless of where longs and shorts are. When I set up this chart, it just works so well. I would just give it time before you say this is a dud ring or it doesn't work. Just be patient, watch and see what happens. But I do think we have a lot more downside to go. And again, guys, if you do like this content, hit the like button. If you are subscribed, take the bell so you get notifications when I upload a video. I will be adding the BitMEX chart. A lot of people have been asking about that. I need to go in and update some of these. I think they're pretty much all up to date, but we are moving further along, so I will need to go in and add some more FIB channels, find some more FIB circles. And when all that's done, then I'm going to start moving into the altcoins, because I've kind of neglected those. But guys, that's it. Until the next video or the next live stream.